Rape and incest. Words that cut our souls with anger and loathing. The strength of our reaction hits something very close to home, something that touches us deeply. Tonight on Man Alive, Part 2, The Circle of Healing.
A lot of times I go into depression and get suicidal. So I just don't understand the way I am today. Must have been really affected by when I was young.
At times when I really holler, I can feel, I can get high, just high on it.
Last week, we met Francis, a sexual abuser, and we discovered that Francis was also a victim, abused by a priest when he was a young boy. We learned the disturbing fact that Francis's situation is not unique, that one of the unspoken secrets of our society is that the rate of sexual abuse in the Native community is staggering, and that much of the blame for this problem can be traced directly back to our main churches, to individual priests, ministers, and nuns in the residential school system that was set up to teach the Native peoples our culture. One of the facts about the sexual abuse of children is that the abused can become abusers later in life. Sexual abuse can spread from generation to generation like an infectious disease. As the Native people begin to break years of silence, an appalling statistic is emerging. Native healthcare workers estimate that sexual abuse may affect between 80 and 90% of the population. These are only estimates. The silence around sexual abuse is not easily broken.
There's a part of me that wishes that I didn't know. Yeah. Says, please, it's okay. I don't want to know anymore. You know, like things that you know, like what happened during a time that I can't remember, you know? And, so it's like here I am struggling to stay honest with myself, you know, to look at my denial around things in my life, and then at the same time here I am and I don't want to know. You know, there's a part of me that doesn't want to know.
How did you feel about yourself during those times?
I think I heard the word hooer here a while ago. That fits pretty good. Very clean.
Often people say
A workshop in Hinton, Alberta. 10 healthcare workers from Native communities across the West. They've come here to learn about sexual abuse from a white therapist and from white victims, because sexual abuse is a problem in every community.
Before I took counseling, I did, but I don't anymore. Yeah. Like, I don't call my stepfather Dad. I never did call him Dad. I always called him by his first name. It hurts right now. Because I haven't talked to him for a long time.
Sexual abuse, I think, is a manifestation in all the races. The unfortunate thing that I think that happens is that more of our people are in jails, more of our kids are in care. So the society may see more sexual abuse from their perception within the Indian community. And maybe they're hearing about it more. And why they're hearing about it is because we're talking about it. Within the Indian community, we're working at breaking the don't talk, don't trust, and don't feel rule that's related to alcoholism and family violence.
Alkali Lake, BC is at the forefront of a new awakening in the Native community. 20 years ago, alcoholism devastated Alkali Lake. Today, they're 95% sober, and they've made a film about their struggle that's been shown on television all over the continent. In their sobriety, they've started to face the things that alcohol obscured. Things like chronic unemployment, family violence, and teen suicide. And they're beginning to see a common thread through all these problems.
Anyhow, along with the sexual abuse training, for the ones of you that don't know, Dave has been over in Hinton since last Monday, Marilyn? Mm-hmm. but he's doing good. I just thought we'd report that to you, so you know what Dave is getting up to. And we're really glad to be able to get him to go because we need men involved. And
He's the only man.
oh, is he? He is over there. When he left,
We need a male trainer.
when he was leaving, I told him, don't be surprised when you get there, you're the only man. And he looked at me. He said, okay, so he is the only guy, yeah? Oh, far out.
We're talking really a lot here about males being offenders. Being one of the only males here as a trainee, how do you feel that we're really talking a lot about men doing this? Does that cause any problem for you?
Yes, it's gone through my mind. I wonder how they feel about me being here.
Do you want to ask them?
How do you ladies feel for me being here?
I just want to thank you for being here. I mean, I've been to workshops where there are so few men, and I always wonder why. And I think half our society is missing here, you know. And to me, it's really important to have the other perspective and not to just blame men and say, you know, they are the ones that are guilty.
Philip Johnson has returned home to Alkali Lake for his summer holidays. He works as a youth counselor with the Four Worlds Project in Lethbridge. You're about to hear his personal story. It's not an unusual one for Alkali Lake or for any other community.
When I first admitted that I was abused, it was hard to deal with those feelings that I had, the hurt that went with it. And then after I dealt with abuse with my uncle, I remember that I was abused by my aunt also. And being abused by my aunt, I was confused because it felt good at the time. It felt good. Then when I was abused by my uncle, that's when I was scared because I thought I was going to die of the pain, and I was going to smother. Because when he climbed on top of us, I couldn't breathe. And to this day, I have a hard time with, you know, being in closed quarters, being claustrophobic, and shortage of breath. And that's all related to that. And becoming an abuser was, and first of all, being in Alkali, you've seen all the abuse that happened, all the violence that happened around you, and you watch people gangbang ladies. So in my mind, I thought that's the right way. You know, that's the right way to have sex. If you don't have sex, you go rape a lady. So, and that gave me an excuse to act out my violence towards the women. Because I hated women. I thought they were just sex objects. As I got older, my rapes became worse and worse. There was at one point when I was at about 17, 18, when I was raping a lady, I would see my aunt laying there, and when I had seen that, it made me more angry. So I'd do more violent things. But around one of my last offenses, I couldn't do that. The face, my aunt's face, wasn't there no more. I was looking down, and I was seeing the real lady's face there, laying there, and I couldn't block it out. And from that point on, I was feeling more guilty, and I was feeling ashamed of what I was doing. So I drank more. And then it just hurt. It hurt. And it just hurt.
Not 100% of the men that are abusers have been abused themselves. But within one treatment program, one specific treatment program for perpetrators, 95% of the perpetrators who were being treated had been victimized themselves. But sometimes it's people, including women, who were raised in violent homes and were raised in a power and control environment, and then they in turn want and need that power and control over another human being from their own place of pain.
Who let the cook bit? Cook sterk, cook ne skiet, cook de
Alkali Lake, Sunday evening. A community meeting has been called to talk about how to proceed with the problem of sexual abuse beyond support groups. Dave has returned from the workshop in Hinton, keen to share what he's learned. His wife says he's walking tall. A therapist has been invited from the nearby town of Williams Lake because it's becoming clear that therapy is the key to treatment.
The issue of sexual abuse is not peculiar just to Native communities. It's certainly in all communities. It's existed for a long, long time. It crosses all socioeconomic status, and it doesn't matter whether you're rich, poor, or educated, or what color you are. One of the things that happens to a child when it is abused, whether it be sexually or physically, because often it's very difficult to separate those, or emotionally for that matter, is its innocent sense of trust is betrayed. And each one of you here says how difficult it is to trust anybody. Because over the years of abuse, that's exactly what happens. You learn not to trust the person, the adult, who you're supposed to depend on for your well-being, for your security, for your roof over your head, for being fed. This person is betraying you. Whether it be your father or whether it be a neighbor, a teacher. And that sense of trust is very difficult to gain back. Because of the secret, you carry that secret. And as long as you can't share that with anybody, you learn not to trust your own feelings, your own perceptions. After a while, the child shuts up. After a while, the child decides there's no point in telling it anymore. But the first step to healing is to break the silence. Healing cannot begin until that's done.
One of the things that I'd like to see is more sex education here, starting with the little ones, but maybe doing it together as families, maybe as family groups, and as the community in itself. And I know that will spread, and that's what I see happening, is this really openness and healing spreading all over, because it's every community that has this problem. I haven't been in one where there isn't this problem, so it's something we're all in this together, so let's just go do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a lot for me to let out yet. It's a long time to reassign to myself in one place. Running a mile, screaming, crying. I was told that if I scream, She would cut myself.
Don't hang on. I'll hold you. Let it go. Don't hold it back. Don't hold it. Let it go. I'll hold you. It's okay. Let it go. It's okay. Hang on. Hold on.
It always happened after school. I was gangbanged for 2.5 months. Every time I used to come home after that happened, my mom used to always ask me what was wrong. But I told her nothing. Because I didn't want to hurt her. That's why I still got those feelings. Sometimes I feel like I want to kill all 5 of them. Because they took something that I consider precious to me. That was my happiness.
I believe that before any healing takes place, we must look at the family first. We must go further than sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is only the tip of the iceberg. And that's why I look in here, and now I see only 3 men in this meeting of 10 community members. Incest hasn't been dealt with on this reserve. Never. It has been just swept under the rug. All in the communities, it has been swept under the rug. We have serenades of our children here. You think they tell you the truth? No. They don't tell you the truth. I went through a therapy. Do you know when I was in there, I disclosed things that I've never ever disclosed in my life. And one thing I was asked, why do I lie? I can see it all over your face. Why do you lie, Dave? Why do you always lie? Power and control. Every time I lie, power and control. I don't want you to take this power and control from me. See, if I start crying now and telling you what happened, I don't want any of you people to touch me. I just want you to keep your hands off me. Not that I don't trust you, no. Because when I start crying, when I start letting these things out that I want out so bad, I've stuck in here for 30 years. I want that to get out of there. I don't want you to touch me and stuff it back from me. In respect, I want to ask you that. Will you be shocked if I told you that I was an offender? How would you feel if I told you I was an offender? How would my brothers out in this community feel to know that I was one? Would I become a scapegoat? would I be see a hanky son of a gun? What I'm going to do for Dave is stay on this reserve. I'm going to put my whole family through therapy because I owe them something. I owe them their lives. That's why I'm going to go through therapy with my wife. Probably from 5 to about 14 months. It depends how I lie. How I lie. It depends how I work that. But I'll guarantee you I will not lie because I've been lying to me all my life. I'll tell you the service stuff. I'll tell you the service stuff about sexual abuse, that I've been abused, but below the iceberg. What is that? The service that Ian says called power and control. Look at that. That's what it is.
I remember when I dealt with being raped when I was in treatment, it was like I was starting life again. It really hurt where I thought I was going to die. But when I look at it, it was the beginning of life for me. And for us to think about it that way, that our people are coming alive, that they're getting well, that they're healing. I really feel excited about that when I think of what's going on. Some of the other things that have been crossing my mind, just knowing that this film is being made and knowing everything that's going on, is thinking about the residential schools and the implications of residential schools of the video being made, the film being made. And I sit back and I think and I know that my own personal experience of residential schools and priests and nuns were good. So for us not to mark the whole residential school system as being one that wasn't good, because I know mine was. In fact, that's probably where I got a lot of my strength, was from the residential school, pulling together, working together, living with Chilcotins, carrier people, having to go to church, you know, those kind of things. I know a lot of people hated it, and I respect, you know, that's not saying that I don't, that everything was okay for everybody. It's just for my age group, it was different. And also to recognize that even if there were priests and nuns that abused, that those people are human. Like I think of some of the priests that were there, and I feel sorry, and I know them now that I hear their names and I know who they are. You know, that priest is suffering in his own way. You know, I hear how sick they are now, and the Great Spirit, you know, in his own way, takes care of those people. We don't have to be here, you know, adding on to the misery. It's just to find a place in our hearts to be able to forgive and love those people. I know it's really hard, but you know, I see that needs to be done. I really feel good knowing that our kids don't have to suffer. That our elders can start learning how to be elders again. And by that I mean we can't isolate the whole situation of sexual abuse to any age group. We can say that the young people are suffering the most and need the help most right now. But those young people and those children are suffering because their parents never dealt with what they have to deal with. And our parents aren't dealing with their issues because their grandparents never dealt with theirs. There's a whole circle of healing between all age groups. But I feel good because I know that that circle is getting stronger. And that we're going to be okay, we're going to survive. I feel good about that.
Beneath the torment and the shame we call sexual abuse lie many subtle levels. Most evident is the need for power and control. But look deeper, and you'll find anger and frustration born out of helplessness. Born out of a little child's broken sense of trust in the adult world. I think that each of us has a bit of that little child inside. The healing of that child is something we're all faced with in this life. Though it won't be easy, our native friends will learn a lot about this in the years ahead. They can pass it on to us if we're willing to listen.
I believe that it will be at least another generation when we have enough people who are treated so that the communities will be able to meet these situations and understand that the perpetrator is not a man with horns or tail, and that the child has still the potential of having a good, full life, be able to develop relationships in future. We have to have faith that our old people, our moms and our dads, our young people, and our children's children can be treated and become healthy. And I have that faith. I have that faith because approximately 5 years ago I heard a Hopi prophecy. And the Hopi prophecy said that our Indian people, this was said about 1850, our Indian people are in their midnight and we'll come into our daylight when the eagle lands on the moon. And when the astronauts landed on the moon, the message they sent back to Earth is the eagle has landed.